Hi, everybody. This is Cynthia, Global Traveler Realtor, coming to you today with my good friend Karen Duncan. We met in Panama about 2.5 years ago, and Karen and her husband have a really amazing story, an unusual but a fun one, of how they just packed up. And I won't go any further because we want to tease you a little bit, but Karen came to Panama with a business called Peaks Cruises and Tours. She will tell you what that entails, and that's travel that piques your passion. Yes. She also has a podcast. She does a lot of different things. And before I give away all of her secrets, Karen, how did you decide that it was time for you to make a move? You come from Texas, I believe.
Yes.
Yep, we talked about. And how did you make that transition? How did that all happen for you?
Well, first of all, I was a House Hunters International maniac. I watched it every day. And I just kept thinking, if they could do it, we could do it. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about us relocating, but my husband got laid off from the company he was working for, and it was like the second or third time that they were doing a repositioning or whatever they were doing, and they would always lay him off and then call him back. And at this point, he said, "You know what? I'm really tired of this crap. Let's figure out what I can do to retire." And so we started looking at our options. We had a trip planned. We were taking a cruise through the Panama Canal. And on that trip, we decided that we would start looking at Panama as an option. We had never been to Panama. In fact, the time that I'm talking about, we didn't even get off the ship. It was raining really hard, and we knew we weren't going to live in Cologne, where the ship was stopping at. So we just decided to start doing some research. Well, I decided. And after looking at all the different places that we could possibly move that a lot of expats were going to, Panama ticked all the boxes. It's safe, we use US dollars, we've got English speakers, large expat community, good health care, and we pulled the trigger. That cruise happened in December, the 1st of December. By January the 6th, we had put our house on the market in Texas, and in March it was sold, and we landed in Panama in April that year. So all within 4 months.
Wow, that is amazing. So what? We'll come back and visit. I'll start pulling that apart a little bit. So what did your friends and family say? Because that's always a big one, right? When with an adventurous spirit, everybody wants to give you their opinion of what you should or shouldn't do. So what kind of things were you hearing, and how did you overcome some of that?
Well, our biggest concerns initially were our children. We have 4 kids, 4 adult children, and we have taught them the sense of adventure. I said, well, I'm not leaving them any money, so adventure is all I have to offer you. And so they're travelers, and so we spoke to them first. And after that, we did everything. We put the house on the market and put everything in motion prior to talking to our parents. And it was really funny with our mothers, particularly. They each asked us questions. My mother asked me questions. Mitchell's mother asked him questions that were the same exact questions, and they were based on, did the other person talk you into making this move? They thought that someone was pulling our arm. They thought Mitchell was convincing me to do this, and that I was being dragged into moving out of the country. I don't know why they thought that, or vice versa. So that was a big deal, but we waited until it was in motion because we did not want them to have really a lot of input. And we did have to say, we're not asking permission. We're doing it. And they would have not been surprised had we said we were moving to Jamaica, because we had been to Jamaica 30 some odd times. But Panama was a bit of a surprise for them, and they weren't real sure because they had not heard us talk about it. They knew we'd never been here, so they were a little concerned initially. And then once they figured out we were doing it, regardless of what they thought, then they just got on board, you know. But it was cool. Friends and family, friends were kind of like, if anybody would do this, it would be you. So, you know, because we traveled quite a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got the you're a wanderluster adventurer as well.
Yeah.
So that's why we get along so well, because of some of our similarities. And it's been fun watching all of that in Panama and seeing you expand your networking and your relationships and all of that. So now you said that Mitchell retired, but when you came to Panama, you weren't retired. What were what are you doing?
I'm not retired. I'm not old enough to retire. Thank you very much. Or rich enough. So, you know, I've been a home-based travel agency for 25 years. And it was very easy for me to just pick up with my clientele and move to a different country, because most of the business we did was online or by phone. And very seldom did we see our customers in person. So it was really easy for us to just pick Peaks Cruise and move across the world. And it worked very well. You know, my customers didn't have a problem not being able to come in to see me, because they were trained that way. We did get a few new clients initially that were like, oh, can I come by and make a payment? And we'd be like, well, we're in Panama. And then the conversation would change. Well, how did you end up in Panama? So you'd end up talking about that. So then they'd completely forget that they couldn't come see you. And most of our business was referral business anyway. We did lots of groups. So it just kind of worked out. And of course, now with COVID, it's been a lot more of a challenge, to be honest. The travel business is almost non-existent. But as I always do, I retool myself, and I'm looking forward to expanding into a different realm of travel once all of this is said and done. And so I've been concentrating on getting my certifications through the Deepak Chopra Center for meditation, Ayurveda, and well-being coaching. So I'm going to put together some retreats as soon as I can. Mainly bringing people to Panama and doing it here. It's a great place to do that type of thing.
That's fantastic. I love it when entrepreneurs just kind of take a challenge, it turns into an opportunity, and then something blooms from out of that, and that's Absolutely. Awesome. That's awesome. And
I always say there's blessings in adversity. You know, had COVID not happened, I would not have had the time to devote to what I'm doing. And it had been something that had been on my heart for a long time. And because I don't have the business working like it was, it just gives me the time to study and devote to and building my own practices, you know.
Yeah. And we often talk about the energy in Panama. There's a lot of really positive connectivity, eating right, healthy, you know, all the whole wheel of your body, mind, and soul. So that's really exciting. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to come to one of your retreats? I know it's still in the works, but you got to have it underway, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate that, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now, is setting up you know, the process of where the first one's going to be, so that I can get it on the calendar. But they can call me at 512-3696, or you can send me an email at Karen, Karen, at Peaks, Peeks, vacations.net. And I'll be putting together, in fact, I'll be putting out my Facebook page and all of that here within the next couple of weeks, and really starting to get things in the works, because the certification's about to happen, and I gotta hit the ground running. But I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm excited for you. Congratulations. That's amazing. And I saw some of that work in progress as time went on with some of our correspondence, which is really very cool. Do you still have your podcast going?
I don't right now, just temporarily on hold. I did one update right at the beginning of COVID, and things just kept changing so quickly. I decided to wait and see what was going to happen, because initially, you know, we all thought that this was just going to be a temporary thing. We'd be done within a few months and so on and so forth. And it didn't happen that way. So I put it on hold, and it's temporarily on hold because I keep thinking I need to do an update so that people understand what's going on in the travel industry right now, with what's going on with the cruise lines and, you know, different countries and destinations and resorts, because a lot of places are opening back up, and I need to start that up again.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea, because you want to definitely talk about your retreat as well, yes, right? Because you can kind of work that everywhere. And as you know, those of us who are wanderlusters, our feet have been itchy for a really long time. we're all here chomping at the bit. It's a little bit like what we saw happen with the housing market, because you know, as the global traveler realtor, my goal is to introduce people like you to others who are maybe thinking about taking that excursion or taking that challenge, that plunge, and getting out there. And we know that all of the countries' tourism and travel is a huge part of their income. So we can't stay locked down around the world forever. So those of us in this industry are really trying to help prepare, because it's not like you wake up tomorrow and you say, oh, I'm getting on an airplane, right? There's some thoughts that have to go with it, a little bit like what you were talking about. You do your research, you figure out, okay, where do I want to go? Then you have to sell your home or rent your home, right? Put your things in storage, find some place to go. So we know that we're just kind of in a transition period for everything that we're doing, right? We're just pivoting, and we're going to even make things better than what we had before. So that's really cool. Did you know Spanish before you came to Panama? No.
You know, we lived in Texas, so I understood some Spanish. But no, I don't speak Spanish. I still don't speak Spanish. In fact, that was one of the goals while I started doing some Spanish classes initially during COVID, and then decided to do my certifications. And I learned that I cannot do learn Sanskrit and Spanish all at the same time. My 60-year-old brain just will not go. It's just not working like that right now. On top of maybe too much vodka and tequila and margaritas.
Sunshine and all that other stuff.
So no, I don't speak very fluent Spanish. I can get around.
Yeah.
We can order food, you know, we can be courteous, and Google Translate is amazing.
Right. And the reason I ask that is because a lot of times people are afraid to try a country that doesn't speak, that's not a English speaking country. But to your point is that you're able to get around 2.5 years there without having fluent Spanish, and obviously you're driving and you're going to restaurants and all of that. Right. So it's worked out really well. You guys live right in the beach area, so that's cool. You get your vitamin C all the time, which is
and I'll tell you, you only mess up ordering food in the local language twice before you figure out exactly what you need to say in order to get the meal that you're looking for. Mitchell ordered langostinos, thinking he was ordering langostas, which is big shrimp versus lobster, and he got 3 little bitty little shrimp as opposed to a big lobster one. He did that, I think, once or twice, and after that, he now knows how to order his food.
Right.
So we're all good. That's all that really matters, you know. And they have pictures for driving, so you know you learn to get around, and if nothing else, it takes you out of your comfort zone, and it will help you. I tell people it will help you not have Alzheimer's, because you have to use that other side of the brain to figure out what people are expressing. So it works.
Yeah, it's good. So you were a big fan of the TV show House Hunters, but you are also a celebrity. Tell me about that.
Well, as Mitchell would say, he calls me Lucille Ball because he says Lucy was always getting into something and then trying to figure out a way to get out of it, or, you know, work her way through it. Well, that's kind of what happened with me. So, of course, I was watching House Hunters every night for years. My kids knew I was obsessed with it. And right at the time that we decided to move, that we were going to do it, I sent the company an email asking about being on the show. And I didn't get much of a response. I don't think I got any response, actually. And we had been here maybe 6 months, and they wrote back. And long story short, there were 3 other couples that were in competition for the Panama show at the time, and we ended up getting it. It was really sad because we were in a walking group with those other couples. So when they said, well, we never got a call, or they said, you know, they said, no, thank you. It was like, oh, we got it. We were the ones they chose. So we did. We got an episode of House Hunters International. So, you know, I'm a true believer in manifesting your dreams, making all your dreams come true, no matter what age you are, no matter where you are in your life. If you concentrate on it and you really put it out into the universe as an intention, things can happen and move your way. Mitchell, he went along with the process thinking we would never get it. And when they chose us, he was like, oh my God, what have we done? You know, so we did, and it was fun. You know, so now I have it saved on my TV. I can watch it anytime I want, although you don't really like to watch yourself when you're on TV.
Yeah. So if I wanted to watch it, how could I find it?
It's episode 139. It's season 139, episode 10.
Can I get that on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. It's on HGTV. Yeah. It's out there for the whole world to see forever.
Fantastic.
I looked a little different then, though. I had long dreadlocks, and I was 30 pounds heavier. So keep that in mind when you see that.
Yeah. Right. Well, say that's not her, that's somebody else. But yeah. So part of what happens when we see people come to Panama is that they get so much healthier, right? Yes. They start eating better. They start walking. They just the air, just everything is fantastic. So
it's just the whole environment. The fact that you can just drive down the street and there's fresh fruits and vegetables, you know, for pennies on the dollar compared to the United States. And it's here. There's no excuse for you not to eat healthier, is what I say. No excuse.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't have all the fast food options that you have in the States. So it's not really easy. In fact, that's probably one of our few frustrations, which is a good thing, is that, you know, sometimes you don't feel like cooking. So, and it's at the last minute. You've been doing something all day. And you say, oh, where can we just go grab something? Well, there are places you can go grab something, but it's a fonda or a local, you know, Panamanian-owned little restaurant that you would go to versus going to a McDonald's or a chicken place or, you know, some pizza place. It's fresh. It's still fresh food, so it's great.
Yeah, and we will often walk down to the beach to get the fish coming right out of the ocean. I mean, that's great. And, you know, you did mention earlier that they use the U.S. dollar. You feel really safe. Yes. Have you put a timeline on the time that you planned on being in Panama, or is it just open-ended for you?
My husband would say that we're here forever. And you know, right now I'm feeling that, although, you know, after so many years, I kind of get an itch to want to see and do other things. But I would not be opposed to being in Panama half the year and being someplace else another half of the year. I just got to convince that guy in there that that's what we want to do, because he loves Panama.
That's amazing. When you didn't even get off the ship and you ended up there. So that's really cool. Yeah. So I can see where you've gone with your current studies and all of that, because that definitely is a huge part of your life as well.
Oh, yeah.
You also, you know, one of the other questions people always ask when they move to foreign countries is, we always look for our own tribe, right? So what's the expat community? Is there one there? What do I do is the other question, right? And you've started doing something that you hadn't done that you're fantastic at. So tell us a little about that.
Well, it really kind of started though, Cynthia. When I first got here, I'm an introvert extrovert. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm an only child, so I grew up being by myself. So I like that. I like my own space. But because I've always owned my own business, I understand the necessity of networking. And even though when I first began networking, when my children were really small, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I didn't understand it. But what I learned moving here, everything that I had gone through all those years before prepared me for when I got to Panama. Because one of the first things I did, first I got on Facebook and found a Facebook page of expats. And then when we landed here, I joined Beach Business Networking, which you were running at the time, that you started. Mm-hmm. And I showed up at a meeting of expats to get connected into the community. I've been a big community advocate. Everywhere I've lived, I've always been involved in volunteerism and networking, and it's just being involved in the community that I live in. And that was the first thing that I did, and it introduced me to, a large expat community here. There's 70,000 expats in Panama. Now, not all of those expats are Americans, but that lets you know the number of expats in the country. So there's whomever you can connect with or want to connect with, they're here. And so I did Beach Business Networking and started doing those meetings every week, which gave me a purpose to get up and get dressed at least one day a week. And then I started singing, which is really kind of weird. I always, I started out singing in the choir in school and all in church and all of that. But you have children and your life takes a different turn. When I met Mitchell, I was actually kind of starting to sing in a band, and he was like, oh no, that's not going to work. So I put it on hold. And when I got here, I said, what's there to lose? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just here to have fun at this point. And that's what I started doing. So now I started singing back up with a band to get my feet wet. Now I have a duo with the gentleman from Germany, of all places, who plays guitar. And we're pretty popular. We do gigs all over the beach area. So it's kind of fun.
That's amazing. It's a great story of no matter what your passion is, it seems like you can do it wherever you live, right? You just have to take that plunge and do it. So it doesn't have to be Panama. It could be, Spain or Portugal, or, a lot of it is, I have a friend that just moved from the Northern Virginia area. Her husband's in the military, so they're in Alaska, and she's a photographer, and she is posting some of the most amazing things. So it's just a matter of, just really finding your passion, following your passion, and not being afraid to do it. A lot of people are afraid.
That's usually what stops us from doing things. And I kind of looked at being in a foreign country as, being that person that I've always wanted to be. And that's part of the meditation class that I'm learning to teach right now. Is meditation is all about bringing us back to the person that we were put on earth to be. When we were born, we were all born with a purpose, and through conditioning and parents and traditions and religions and all whatever expectations of others, we veer from that a lot of the time. And through meditation, you can learn to go back to being that person that you were meant to be. And so I looked at moving to Panama as an opportunity for me to cut the cord of all the expectations of being in the United States and what that meant I was supposed to look like and be like at this age, And I just took a leap. You know, what's the worst thing can happen if you jump out there? If it doesn't work out, then you turn around and you do something else, or you keep trying. How many entrepreneurs have we heard about that were in 3 or 4 or 5 businesses before they became so successful that, you know, the whole world knows about them? And it's just an opportunity, and I'm having fun. As long as I'm having fun, then I'll keep on moving.
That's fantastic. That's a really good point, and I appreciate you bringing that up. It took 1,001 times for the light bulb to be invented. So,
there you go.
You know, just keep on trying and keep on trying. And, you know, it's really, really awesome that you've taken that plunge and you're making a difference in the community in so many different ways. And just, you know, and I appreciate you being on this call with me and sharing your story and putting it out there that, you know, I do relocation by design. So let's talk about, where do you want to go? What energy are you looking to? What is your next adventure, basically, right? You don't have to retire in the United States. And again, it doesn't have to be forever. It could just be till it doesn't work anymore. And then you can figure out what the next step is.
You know, our thing was, we had decided that if it didn't work, then we might either choose a different location or go back to the States, buy an RV, and just travel throughout the United States. There are so many options of what's available to you to even figure out what you want to do. You know, some people come and spend 3 months here and then decide if it's the place for them. They travel all over the country, figure out which part of Panama they may want to live. That's always an option. Or you just take the plunge and you go for it. Or you pick a place that you've been vacationing, you know, forever. You know, you kept dreaming about, one day I would love to live in Mexico or whatever, you know, then do it. There's nothing really holding you back but yourself.
Right. I totally agree. And I wanted to ask if you have anything I didn't ask you, but you'd like to share with our listeners, our watchers, because you and I are going to share this video for both of our businesses.
Well, what I would like, you know, I was sitting here thinking, because of what you do, when you find, you may have customers that you've helped relocate. Some people are looking for properties where they can do retreats or Airbnbs or that rent out space within their space, like Tranquillo with Linda. Her place would be perfect for my first retreat, you know, for a small group as I'm practicing and getting better at and honing in exactly what I want my retreats to look like. So my hope and my dream is to be able to take these retreats all over the world, not just have people come to Panama, although Panama is a great place to do this. But I see myself having retreats all over the world. I've been making lists of places that I would like to host these types of things. And I would really like to work with small, family-owned type properties that we can really make a difference in their lives and their business, as well as mine. And it lends to a better atmosphere in terms of wellness and meditation and Ayurveda when you have a smaller environment. So if you come across anyone that has those type of properties that you have already seen or talked to in your travels, those would be perfect if you could just connect me with those folks.
I would be happy to, because, you know, I love connecting and educating and traveling. So when you're ready, let's have a little deeper conversation and just say, Cynthia, I'm feeling like I want to go here, because I'm sitting here thinking about all the things I've come across already. So I think it'll be a great match for us. And, you know, for all of our clients, no matter where they are, what decisions they're making in their world. So, you know, sometimes people have to meditate or pray a little bit on that decision. What's the right thing, what they need to do. And that's a great way to do it, right?
And you know what the difference in prayer and meditation is? Prayer is when you're asking God for something, and meditation is when you're silent so that He can answer you.
Oh, thank you. That's good to know. I do think I need to do a lot of meditating.
I know. Well, a lot of us do right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little stressful for people.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Karen Duncan, with Peaks Cruises and Tours, and you're going to be doing your retreat. So looking forward to that and attending some of those. And I appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, being with me today with Global Traveler Realtors, so that we can collaborate and help everybody reach their goals and their ultimate beings, right? So thank you very much, and I look forward to chatting with
everybody.
Just move around the world.
Okay.